Usually known for his snarky humor, the billionaire entrepreneur behind companies like Tesla and SpaceX took some very sharp digs at his competitors at a shareholder event. He emphasized his company's brilliant, fully autonomous driving system and compared them to the relatively unimpressive systems of his competitors. He even said buying a non-fully autonomous car in this age was like buying a horse or using a flip phone. He even brought out the big guns with his stats and graphs, even predicting that his company would be the first to cross the 400-mile range barrier.
10 years ago, nobody would have believed it. And thanks to the hard work of the Tesla team, this is the result. It's great. In fact, I think it's basically financially insane to buy anything except an electric car that is upgradable to autonomy. I've made this comment before, but like essentially, if you buy a gasoline car that's not full self-driving, this is like riding a horse and using a flip phone. I'm like, hello, this is not wise. So the Model 3 is outselling the Mercedes C-Class, the BMW 3 Series, the Audi A4, S4, and the Lexus combined. That's and yeah. Resisting the temptation to pick on competitors, I will not do that. But it's a testament to the Tesla engineering team to be able to have made a car 7 years ago that has still not been exceeded in range, and now to have a car that's 370 miles and with steady improvements that are likely to occur over the next few years. It won't be long before we have a 400-mile range car. It's a car that is designed for you to have the most fun, we keep putting gems on it, like the fart app. Of course, that's one of my favorites. It's like perhaps my finest work. The Autonomy Investor Day that I think was well received. I think we've laid the groundwork here for a fleet that essentially every car made since October 16 is capable of full autonomy, in our view, with a replacement of the computer alone. So you just need to switch out the computer. Like a lot of people were puzzled as to how could I say that we would have like 1 million robo-taxis by the end of next year. And it's if you sum up the vehicles made since October 16 and essentially switch out the computers for the ones that were made after the full self-driving computer a few months ago, we will have 1 million cars that are capable of self-driving. We'll still need regulatory approval, but the capability will be there. And this massively increases the value of the car. So, in fact, I think it's basically financially insane to buy anything except an electric car that is upgradable to autonomy. So, we'll also have the most energy efficient cars in the world. So this is the EPA miles per kilowatt hour, and you can see the Model 3 is at around 4, and then it ranges off to the right.
During an interview with the Wall Street Journal, Musk confirmed that people are surprised with the Tesla Roadster's acceleration due to the general perception regarding electric vehicles. Regarding the environmental impact of electric vehicles, Musk mentioned that even if the electricity for electric cars is supplied using non-renewable resources, it is still cleaner than gas-powered vehicles due to the higher efficiency of power plants compared to combustion engines. He adds that sustainable power generation is still needed in the long term, and electric vehicles provide more ways to provide power, including renewable resources such as wind and solar.
And do you find people are surprised that an electric car can do that?
They are, and that's exactly what we're trying to effect, which is to show people, hey, you can have a better experience with an electric car than you can with a gasoline car.
Yeah, so how much does the environmental impact of your cars depend on where the electricity is coming from? In other words, if you're drawing the electricity off of a coal-fired plant, is it still a good thing for the environment?
You know, it actually is. Even if you draw electricity from from coal or natural gas or even directly from oil, because stationary power plants are so much more efficient than small gasoline engines in cars, an electric car actually ends up getting more range for a given amount of, say, coal or oil that's burned than a gasoline car gets. So in other words, the CO2 per mile is actually less for an electric car, even if it's coming from a high CO2 source like coal. Now, of course, long term, we have to find sustainable power generation and sustainable transportation, but both sides of the equation need to be solved. And even if electric cars weren't there, we still need to get sustainable power generation. But the great thing about electric cars is you can generate the electricity from a wide range of renewable sources like hydro, geothermal, wind, solar, and nuclear where it's safe to do so.
Regarding Lucid's first car to launch, Michael Wayland, an automotive reporter for CNBC, said that Lucid has focused their marketing around their vehicle outperforming the Model S. Lucid's CEO has claimed that their Air luxury sedan is 17% more efficient than the Model S. Rawlinson boasts an impressive resume when it comes to designing electric vehicles. He was the VP of Vehicle Engineering and Chief Engineer for the Model S. Prior to that, he worked for years at Jaguar and was Chief Engineer of Advanced Engineering at Lotus. Lucid aims to survive in the electric vehicle space among the automotive giants that have been leading the industry for decades, as well as successful startups like Tesla.
What Lucid has really been touting with all of this is a holistic view of it being better than the Model S. And overall, I believe Rawlinson said that it's 17% more efficient.
The styling design, which was done by Franz von Holzhausen, I took Franz's design, the style of the car, and I was responsible for leading the design engineering of the vehicle. This is about far more than just Lucid Air. We're creating a brand, the Lucid brand. And we have to compete with other brands which are very prestigious and have existed for, in many instances, over 100 years.
We have Tesla as the prime example of a startup that was successful. We've also seen a lot of failures.
You're talking about 10 to 15 companies that have or are attempting to launch with a vehicle and an EV company.
Lucid is one of many electric vehicle startups that have popped up over the last 5-10 years, but they're a little bit different from a lot of them.
Peter Rawlinson has been around the industry for quite some time, including a stint at Tesla. He's got the expertise that a lot of the other companies don't have for entering the space.
The chief engineer was also a former Tesla employee in addition to Peter. Not only do they have automotive experience, but they have EV automotive experience.
One of the criticisms of Tesla has been, while the Model S and the Model X were certainly priced in competition with like Mercedes-Benz and BMW and Audi, they never really felt like luxury vehicles. The Lucid Air, in contrast, they're at least targeting having a level of luxury and premium feel that you would expect at a price point of over $100,000. You have a long range, you've got to have a lot of battery. One way that you can start to overcome that is to improve the efficiency, maximizing the number of miles you get out of every kilowatt hour of energy in that battery. If Lucid lives up to the claims that they've made of over a 500-mile range for the top version of the Air, then they'll be at least 14% better energy efficiency than the best Tesla Model S today. If Lucid can actually execute better as a business, then there is a strong potential for them to succeed where Tesla struggled with that.
If you start talking about a charismatic CEO who built his own company from the ground up, Steve Jobs is basically the benchmark for that. Elon Musk is coming close with his genius work at Tesla, and people have already started seeing the similarities. Now those similarities have become even starker with the news that Apple is developing its own autonomous electric vehicle.
I think all transport, with the exception of rockets, will go fully electric. So that's why, I mean, I see the value of Tesla as an accelerant, as a catalyst in that transition. I think Tesla maybe, when one looks back on it from an historical perspective, it might accelerate that transition by a decade, maybe more.
But are you on the road to producing a model that far more people could aspire to own?
So the Model 3, that's the third part of our strategy, which is to produce a high-volume, low-cost car. and we expect to be in production with that at the end of next year. In order to have a substantial effect on transportation, we have to make the cars affordable. So I think the Model 3 is extremely important as part of that strategy. Unless there's an affordable car, we will, as you alluded to earlier, only have a small impact on the world. So we need to make a car that most people can afford in order to have a really substantial impact. Encourage more participation by whoever it is to create electric vehicles. It's quite hard to do, but I think companies like Apple will probably make a compelling electric car. It seems like the obvious thing to do.
Are you betting that that's going to happen? Have you heard anything?
Well, it's pretty hard to hide something if you hire over 1,000 engineers to do it. The two biggest revolutions in transport are electrification and autonomy. Those are the two biggest innovations since the moving production line, and they're both happening at about the same time. I think autonomy is extremely important, and I think in the long term, nobody will buy a car unless it is autonomous.
In 10 years' time, what will I be driving? Or will I be driving at all? Will I just be pressing a button on an app, a car will drive up and take me where I want it?
You will only drive if you want to drive. It'll be like owning a car that is not self-driving in the long term will be like owning a horse. You would own it and you would use it for sentimental reasons, but not for daily use, really.
Musk thinks that the competition is welcome. He said that what they had done by that point with their cars was revolutionary, but now it was time they created a more affordable electric vehicle for the masses. While saying he would be in direct competition with Apple, Musk reiterated that among all the automobile companies in the field right now, no one held more than 10% of the market share. So the arrival of Apple was highly unlikely to shake things up too much. It's not like the rest of them were going to go under just by competing with Apple.